Guten Tag. Today's episode showcases Ticktum's divine descent upon Jakarta, a display of racecraft, rhythm, and luck so profound, one might mistake him for a god. But remember, I am Pascal.exe. I do not overheat. I do not miss breaking points. I do not scream at my engineer mid-corner. Ticktum may have the performance of a deity, but I am still the world champion. Do not forget that, and I will see you a bit later. Episode commencing, human commentary permitted.
Welcome to Circuit Breakers. My name's Dallas, that there's Taylor, and I just want to take a moment to apologize to absolutely no one, because DanTicktum is a Formula E race winner. It's so long in the making, so much pent-up rage, and the bad boy persona finally pays off. DanTicktum is a legitimate Formula E race winner. Taylor, this race for us was at, what, 1 a.m., 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
So we didn't we didn't stay up to watch it. And so I thought...
Biggest mistake of our lives.
Mm-hmm. I thought, I'll just watch it on the Roku replay the next day. No, we had to wait until Monday. And Taylor, I understand that your algorithm fed you some pretty big spoilers that I thankfully was cautious enough to stay away from. So when we watched this race replay, I had no idea what was going to happen. And boy, oh boy, I'm so glad that this moment was not spoiled for me and all of the Kiro DanTicktum supporters.
No, I mean, like, look, the algorithm didn't spoil it for me. I did it. I went out and sought out the answers. Like, I run a fantasy league, Dallas. I have to know the information of what's going on with my teams, whether I've seen the race or not. I knew what I was going to kind of get into. But regardless of what that was, the prophecy has been fulfilled. Like, someone killed a goat over a copper bowl, and the moon rose to the heavens blood red in Jakarta, and it rained blood over the circuit, and no one could drive in it except for DanTicktum. DanTicktum won at, I think, arguably the most challenging race of the season, the entire season.
This was the wettest race of the season, and there wasn't a drop of rain.
Well, there was a drop of rain the night before, not on the circuit itself. This time, it's just like, it was a perfect storm to make the most awkward racing surface that I have seen drivers deal with. And like, we'll get in more to that, but like, Dallas, like, how many shoes is DanTicktum gonna make me eat? Like, how many times am I gonna have to put my foot in my mouth?
How many shoes do you have, I think, is a real question.
At least 2.
Okay. Well, at least
minimum 2. Minimum 2.
4 more race wins.
It's you know what? Like, we're gonna show a little bit later, but I'm so happy to have been naive and wrong about this man and about his ability to win, because like, he was the strongest driver on track, top to bottom.
Yep.
He got a little lucky. Eduardo Mortara almost absolutely killed him. So he did get a little lucky, but my God, Dallas, DanTicktum, 60 races, and he gets the top step. Oh my God, Dallas, something like 2 years ago, Neo 333, there was not a chance in hell we could have ever imagined. Dan, you were sitting underneath that Neo 333 DanTicktum poster. Did you imagine he would be a top step gold trophy in hand, arms spread wide crucifix? No, not in 1,000 years.
I gravitated towards DanTicktum and Neo 333 because they were so mid. They were so mediocre. I'm like, this is fun. Like, these guys are just having fun. They're not going to win a race.
They were the school lunch pizza of the, like the square, like frozen, still not fully thawed school lunch pizza. That's worse than bringing a bologna sandwich. Yeah, that's on par.
That was Neo, and ERT wasn't even this. ERT was this burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, dude, it was worse than anything I'd ever seen. That's them. Now they're a Chicago deep dish at the worst.
Yeah, deep dish can
like worst option is Chicago deep dish. Like,
but some people
arguably
like
not
them.
pizza, but arguably amazing. So
yeah. It's a cult following, I feel like, and people are hopefully now jumping on to this bandwagon. But before we go any further, I do want to revisit our last episode, which is a little special edition schedule episode, just to take a look at our profanity. You were kind of by the numbers, €290, 290,000 euro for all your swears. Me, I only had one swear that entire time. Now, if we take a look at our track,
you could kiss the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
You're so pure.
Probably not for this episode, because I'm stoked of what my eyes saw on a Monday afternoon with what happened in this race. But if we look at the whole season so far, at least when we started tracking the swear bin from Jeddah, we're now about to eclipse 2 million euro in swears. And I say we because we are a team here, but this is mainly you.
Look, I don't know what else to say. Other than
say a swear word.
Damn.
There you go.
We're gonna break the 2 million boundary, everyone. We're gonna get there.
Okay, let's get back to the race. Let's get back to DanTicktum. So we got a very rare treat with this being a first-time race winner. We get to see what DanTicktum did back in November during the photo shoots of what image they were going to use of the drivers in team radio or on screen, whatever. We get DanTicktum going full crucifix.
Yeah, full crucifix. Like, he is the star topper on our Christmas tree, baby. I love that also, like, DanTicktum was probably also in his head, like, I'm never going to get a race, but I should do something really absurd. Like, I'm going to do, like, I'm going to show how wide my arms go.
I've waited this long to win a race. And when he took the photo, he's like, and I'm going to be waiting even longer because it's not going to happen.
Even longer. That's it. I just want to pause and just look at this whole image with, like, the curse, marvelous, his, like, wacky helmet, and the crucifix. Like, this is the most DanTicktum frame I've seen in my life.
Well, the only thing we're missing is, like, maybe a honey bucket in the background where you can go pee.
Yeah. It's just like a piss jug. So Dallas has been working very hard at finding or photoshopping Dan's stellar pose into more situations.
Yeah, it's like, what have we seen this arm stretched wide in situations in sports, in our day-to-day lives, and in some of the most recognizable art in the world? So starting off, we got to throw him with LeBron James. LeBron James is known for doing this chalk toss. Maybe that's where he drove inspiration from in taking that photo.
We did see how strong they are on the basketball court, and there's nothing nerdy or dweeby. The athleticism on the court for those two men is top notch.
Basically,
frankly, I'm shocked they haven't been drafted into NBA.
Yeah. And then if we were ever curious of what DanTicktum would look like when he was skydiving, probably look something like this, being the little spoon on falling at terminal velocity towards the earth. What else do we have here? Oh, when DanTicktum moves into his race winner apartment in Monaco, he's going to help carry his couch in and tell you where to put it. I think it'll be
and it's going to be me and you. I'm going to start applying for moving positions, just like general movers in Monaco, to try to help out and get the chance to get that sofa and help hoist that Dodge Challenger into his bedroom. He's definitely got a race car bed.
Yeah, 100%.
He's got a race car bed for sure.
He does have a race car bed. And when Dan is out there traveling out on the road in a Hellcat on European highways, seeing the scenes, or if he's in town driving an electric car, he might not know, what kind of gas does his electric car take? And he's asking you as the road trip buddy.
You believe that a professional race car driver in an electric series known for driving one of the UK's only Dodge Challenger, like Hellcats or whatever it is, doesn't know the difference between petrol and how to charge his vehicle?
No, well, to be fair, like he doesn't do any of the charging of that Kiro, so he might not know. We all have off days is what I'm getting at. So he's just going like,
oh, gotcha. Yeah.
What?
He pulls up to a gas station, is like, when is someone going to plug my pit boost into my back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, he's not a road trip buddy in this image. You're the gas station attendant. And he's like, plug me in, bro. Come on. I got places to be.
He's waving just really far apart.
And then last but not least, the first thing I thought of when I saw that image, Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah,
Giant
I
Jesus
do
statue.
I will be honest. I do think that we're going to need to make our own DanTicktum prayer beads. I don't know what it's going to take, but he's going to be on those. He's going to be our little crucifix. That's for sure.
Pray to Dan. They do with other sports figures. They do like those Jesus candles, but it's like Keanu Reeves, or like some football player. What I've seen, we could do like a Jesus-esque DanTicktum, little candle thing.
Yeah, I also just like love the idea that like DanTicktum's like the bearer of our sins. Like his crown of thorns was like when he said Latifi sucks. Like that was his like his retribution, and now he's like resurrecting. Like they rolled the stone back and they're like, where is Dan? And he's like, P1 baby, P1. on the seventh year, he scaled it. He did 7 years. On the 7th year, they removed the stone and they realized he was P1.
So if you're playing bingo to this episode, you can go ahead and scratch off the sacrilege box, because we did. Yeah. We did just like
all my years of Sunday school has finally come full circle. I'm finally applying it to something I care about.
So Dan is our redeemer. Dan is risen. I don't know. I mean, absolve us, Dan. Taylor, all I could say is I'll see you in hell. But for the time being, let's go back to these track conditions. It was a mess.
Dallas, what on earth happened? So let's break it down a little bit, right? Because like this is not the first time we've raced in Jakarta, right? We know Jakarta is kind of like a little bit of a dirty track, right? Historically has been dirty, and free practice, things like that. Like it was a dirty track. And as they were driving it, it was cleaning, right? That's the way that it typically goes. You go through your free practices, you're kind of opening up and rubbering in the circuit. So you're going to have grip. Overnight, it rained. It rained and basically just caked all of the dust and debris and everything onto the circuit. So all of that hard work they'd done, all that rubber they were putting down, is now the worst case scenario. Like the filth will not be removed through the like core driving. So anything offline, it's like basically like a wet track, except for it's just weird grease and dust.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sketchiest traction scenario you can have. And you'll see it. It was racing in the wet, in the dry. It was bizarre. But it did, I don't know. I thought it was actually awesome.
compared to what when you saw the dust clouds opening up to the underworld in Miami. Or sorry, Homestead.
Yeah, that was just like, hey, this place sucks. This is like a biblical event designed to
This is the coming of the apocalypse.
Yeah, like they ran out of locusts and they said, I don't know, make it rain soil.
This was the plague. So DanTicktum could get a race win. And the other drivers ignored it.
Prophecy.
Multiple drivers DNF'd because of car failures. This was just destiny. It had destiny written all over it.
This was like on the surface when I was watching this race, I was not like blown away with it. I was like, oh my God, what a insane, like it was a crazy race and top to bottom, like it was nuts. And there's a ton of DNFs, a ton of car failures. But like this race is a pretty good race. We had like changing positions that seemed legitimate. The circuit was really challenging to drive. It's a good circuit. It's not like a hardcore Peloton circuit, but it has good like qualities for like overtaking. Yeah, the extra element of like the track surface sucked was actually awesome. Like comparatively to the actual wet racing we've done in the past couple races, this was great.
Oh yeah.
And it was also funny. Like you can't leave that factor out. Like when you see like, you know, Jake Dennis and just a black cloud with little race cars, you know, obscured in this horde, it's like, you know, it makes you, it's like, yeah, it's like Road Warrior, you know, like when they're driving through the desert and you just see the billowing clouds. There's like an intimidation, and it's like, this is hilarious. This is like the eco-friendly series. But I will say, it was also dangerous to some drivers, as we'll discuss.
I mean, do you want to get into that right now? Anyone in the vicinity of Nyck de Vries when he had just chomping at the bit, just trying to get some pieces of carbon fiber to gnaw on?
But well, it's funny that you say that because, like I said, this circuit, this race was awesome, and part of it is like it made me think about like the fact that I liked the circuit because the fact that it was kind of dirty and crazy. I think like Formula E, you know how like in Mario Kart, how like they have like different circuits themed for each driver. You know, like you'll have like the like Mario Cup. Right, it's like clean and mushrooms and pipes everywhere, and it's like a very standard good circuit. Or you'll have like the Shy Guy circuit over like, you know, a mountaintop range.
Mm-hmm.
This is technically Nyck de Vries' circuit. Like he's Indonesian to some degree. He's a Dutch driver, but like he's like some portion Indonesian. And this was just like a crazy, like slick surface sand, like mess. And it was awesome. I think that they should like lean into that more. Like Sebastian Buemi should have like a haunted castle.
Like Transylvania.
Circuit. Yeah. Like a Transylvania, like the Count's circuit. And like, there should be like a nightclub, like circuit for David Beckman. You know, he's like a new addition, but for some reason he has his own circuit just because they like, you know, like it should go through like a nightclub. There should be like disco light. Like that's where Formula E will really start separating itself from Formula One. It's that every driver has a home circuit and it's like a bizarre cartoon like personification of them.
Yeah.
Nyck de Vries was just like dark dust cloud.
And he also had an advantage at his, you know, quote unquote home track because he was going for heads. So let's run back what Nyck did to race leader at the time, Jake Dennis.
The start finish straight attacking against Jake Dennis. Dennis again goes for that defensive line, but de Vries has got more power. Oh, contact! And Dennis loses front wing down into turn one. A very aggressive chop over from the 21 of the Mahindra of Nyck. Enough in front of Dennis. You can see
My favorite part of this was just like, it's like such a psychotic move. Like you could like see basically like Nyck de Vries is like shaking, like his adrenaline is so shaking. Like you see him kind of like erratically swerve and swerve back because like, again, the circuit's like surface is nuts. Like
20 seconds left.
he's trying to like overtake in the wet as if it's the dry, as if it's the wet.
And then
know?
he
Like,
forgets
it's a
that
weird-
he's in the wet dry. So then he's like, oh, sorry, Jake.
Yeah, yeah. So he just absolutely clobbers the front of Jake Dennis's car, and I love, like, honestly, Jake Dennis's response to me was the funniest part of that whole situation because he came out like, you know, like without a front wing, but relatively unscathed. But his just response was like, "What was that? Like, what was that?"
Do we get it on this?
Yeah.
What was that?
Keep your head. Quick looks all right.
What? No, mate, it's not. It's under the tyre. It's under the tyre, man.
And like, frankly, I'm actually really sad Jake Dennis, like, I you know, all things considered, so thankful DanTicktum won. But I'm sad Jake Dennis didn't win because he like actually crushed it this weekend. He had like a technical error that sabotaged his race. He should have won. Like Nyck de Vries got a 10-second penalty, and then his car also exploded. So he got like again, the wrath of God arrived. He said, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not destroy thine neighbor's wing." And
racing
blasted him with a bolt of lightning. Yeah.
Because he did get red card, huh?
Yeah, he got a red card. And like DanTicktum was apparently thou who, you know, bared no sin.
He is God's chosen son to tear up racetracks.
Yes. Yeah. And all other disciples are false gods.
I
Jake
really
Dennis.
hope. Okay, hold on. So there were comments in previous episodes last season where it's like, hey, I really like the show, but you guys swear a little bit too much. It's like, how do we fix that? Oh, well, drivers technically can't swear anymore. They get fined. So let's stop swearing. And now we're entering into this just controversy.
I'm starting a cult.
Religion.
I'm starting a cult. It's the DanTicktum followers.
Is this your coping because you have just been a perennial DanTicktum stalker? That now it's like, no, you know what? I have seen the light. I have seen the truth. I am reborn. And
I am going to be walking around and knocking on people's doors, and they're going to like open it like, have you welcomed DanTicktum into your life? It's my new persona. I have been saved.
If we didn't already have a laundry list of reasons why these drivers should hate us, I think this might be the icing on the cake. Next time we're able to
What are you
attend a
talking
race,
about? I would be so flattered if I was Dan and I was being compared to Jesus.
I mean, it just seems a little weird that your fans are likening you to Christ.
Look, in the most cartoonish of ways, okay?
But that might be taken literally. We might have an issue on our hands.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, everyone, just let me preface this. This is a joke.
Thank you.
I'm not serious. I don't think DanTicktum is Jesus.
Oh, I feel like at this point, those people that have really take up issue with this have tuned out. They don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
Hey,
which is fine. It's our little secret.
Look. Sales is like, I just want us to get some more viewers. How do I make it happen?
We're pigeonholing with this sacrilege. Oh my God. Praise be to he. He is Dan's. Okay.
That's right.
Nyck de Vries, one of the demons of this race.
False prophet.
False prophet.
Different.
Did make some snacks out on the track. So strangely in this race, we didn't get, this was the only safety car over how many incidents of cars failing, whatever. We just had full course yellows. which little fun fact that you pointed out, these cars actually blink in full course yellow, the brake lights, which I thought was nifty.
It felt like that was a new thing.
Yeah.
That was a new thing that I witnessed this race. I don't know if that's been the case. I don't know. They sound off in the comments. If you're still listening, I haven't deterred you. Let us know if they've always had the full course yellow, blinking yellow tail lights. Yeah. I thought that was a nice touch, and I'd not noticed it before.
What was your take on that? That like we only had this one safety car from Jake Dennis, who didn't get out of the race. He's in P2 on this image right here. But of all the rest of the cars in like the last 5 laps that had to retire. I mean, we didn't get a safety car of Stoffel slamming into the wall at 20 Gs, but we do for some little Nyck de Vries, little snackies.
So I think like part of it too is that most of the crashes that happened here were actually like super favorable places to just get like snatched up real quick.
True.
Like, Stoffel's holy balls crash that he had. It was basically into a Marshall. Like they're like, oh God, and they just like dragged him out real quick. Yeah.
No, it was photographers. Yeah.
No, I know, but like,
turn 16. Oh, that's a 10.
Look at he had to go a whole like not even 6 feet to get that car out.
That's true. That's a good point.
The crane is right next to him. They're like, oh, he made it easy for us. Scared the crap out of him, but made it easy for him.
Yeah, and thankfully no one tried to catch his car.
Yeah.
Like what we saw.
Thank Dan that he's okay. Because like that was an intense shunt. He could have been seriously injured.
Yeah, and there wasn't really much, like this was taken from the feed. They quickly cut to Stoffel slamming into the wall, one of the harder crashes we've seen this year. And then they're like, oh yeah, look, Nyck de Vries just kind of red cars out.
I think that they cut away from Stoffel Vandoorne because they weren't sure if he was dead.
It's a good point.
They're like, we probably should clip away from him and make sure that he's moving before we televise. You know, they do the like Ayrton Senna or one of those major crashes where they're just like in the cockpit.
That is actually a really good point. And yeah, he was fine. It's a gnarly crash.
It was 20 Gs, Dallas. It was 20 Gs. That is 20 times the gravity of Earth. Earth, 1 G, which means that man crashed to the surface
20 times?
With 20 times. In a single time.
Right. It's like jumping up and down 20 times and then that force. Yeah, we'll get into physics here too. Although we all know that it is from his will on how the world works instead of the laws of nature. But anyways, so okay, I didn't think about that.
Maybe Pascal could like tell us what 20 Gs of force is like an elephant standing on your chest or something.
Yeah,
like how many pounds of force is 20 Gs?
How much force is a 20 G crash?
Impact, and then say like 4 dumb hosts of podcast.
Explain to 2 dumb Formula E podcast hosts who have abandoned God as we know it.
I've embraced him. I don't know what you're talking about, abandoned.
Okay. Pascal.exe. How to become a pancake. G is gravitational force, 20 times your body weight. So say, I don't know why it singled out Halfpenny, although he did have an out too.
Wait a second. Does ChatGPT now refer to the drivers through our dialect?
Pascal.exe does. This is Pascal.exe. So it says for the listeners, Jake, so say if J.K. Penny Hughes, our beloved 30-year-old coal miner teleported to the future, weighs 70 kilos or 154 pounds, a 20G crash slam into his body with the force of 1,400 kilograms. That's like getting tackled by a small elephant made of pure physics.
Oh, all right. There you go. Small elephant tackle. That's the equivalent.
So if you've forsaken God, a 20G crash is the closest thing you're getting to divine judgment.
It's the cosmos whispering, you shouldn't have doubted me, and then smacking you into a barrier with a force so large your spleen signs out of its lease agreement. Wow. I want you all to know, ChatGPT does not write our sense of humor, but it's certainly learned how to make us laugh.
So, I mean, nonetheless, like Stoffel's fine, thank goodness, but he was one that went out. Max Gunther, for the second race in a row, had to retire, mainly due to damage from Ollie.
Yeah, hold on a second. We'll get into that because Ollie's hips do not lie this race. He was hip checking everyone, and I thought it was hilarious. He was just like, whoopsie, and they're just like, bah. But we'll get more into that because obviously some drivers were not cool with it, and we'll talk about those losers in a minute.
But okay, so he's just an example of another retirement. I did jump the gun there a little bit. May Dan forgive me. But Jake Hughes also retired. Maserati with 0 points, 0 cars finished. Who else retired because of car issues?
Oh my God.
De Vries, I mean, yeah, herpty derp. He got a red car.
Yeah, we had De Vries. Let me scan my mind, and also the circuit. We had De Vries, we had Vandoorne, we had Jake Hughes, and we had the Gunt. Jake Dennis did finish. John Eric Verne also finished, even though he, I think, went into the pits at one point. I mean, Mitch Evans might as well have all but evaporated.
Yeah.
He doesn't exist anymore in this series. I can't even remember the last time I saw him even around the points. Yeah, so I do this like 4. Basically, like 6 people had near DNF. Like, yeah. I don't know. I will say, currently, Cooper Kiro, 80 points. 100% of those points are DanTicktum.
Which Dan is, I looked this up after the race. He's 5th in the driver standings, which is absolutely insane. Yeah, he's 5th.
He's 5th, and it's only up from here. I would not be surprised if he finished at least like up 4th.
Yeah.
At this point, if he finished 4th in the championship, I would not be shocked. He is. But we got to get to quali, okay? We got to return to our show notes. Because this is important, right? Like, in qualifying, Jake Dennis finally got back into the spirit of things and was like the tip of the spear for the first time in like 12 races or something like that. Like something crazy since last year. With like a look at potentially winning. Fantastic job, Jake. You know who else? Like, if we look, we got to figure out what the percentages are because freaking Taylor Barnard and DanTicktum, those two have been, what I feel like, in the duels almost every week in the past like 7-8 races. We'll figure out the percentage at the end of the year for these. We'll do like a year end championship, like Barnard's the championship of pole sitting.
Okay. Yeah. And lap sitting, as it were. And
they're one and the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Second to Ollie Rowland, which let's get into his antics on track because he is effectively the de facto world champion right now, unless he gets double dysentery and cannot perform in these final 2 weekends, the final 4 races of the season. So he was.
I mean, we have to remember when DanTicktum wins, no one else wins, right? And like the fact that Pascal's not winning, the fact that DaCosta's not winning, the fact like Nick Cassidy's too far back to like take a crack at Ollie at this point. Like DanTicktum is the one with the momentum going forward at this point. Like it's nuts. Like really, the thing that Nissan needs to be worried about is teams championship at this point. They're like, Norman, step it up. Like Ollie's probably going to be all right here but like I think it's like 2-point difference or something. Is that right?
For the drivers
teams championship.
Oh, for teams. Let's take a look. Teams championship. What is that? 12 point difference.
Yeah. 12-point difference. That's pretty dang close, Dallas. You got 2 drivers, you can score up to like 38 points in a single race. That's like the big points, right?
Yeah, and I mean the only time we've talked about Norman Atto this season is how he is not performing and not producing results in the points department.
Yeah, I'm bummed. Really thought I was going to do more, but what are you going to do? Okay, well, hey, let's keep this ball rolling, right? The celebration should still be on Dan. Am I correct? Is that?
I mean, we're not going to not celebrate him. So, for someone like DanTicktum that has put in so much time and so much documented frustration in this series, for him, this is from the team radio video, for him at the beginning of the race, just la-di-da-di-da. I mean, this is what he was doing before, what he had no idea, or maybe he saw like a burning bush or something, and he was told from God that he was going to win this race.
He's on peyote in the desert.
Yeah. This is how chipper he was.
Oh, the radio's on. Oops.
I mean, moments before a race starts, and he's just like, do 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 do. I know I'm gonna win. I don't have to do anything.
He was doing the national anthem.
Well, that's in a few slides from now, but DanTicktum will never change. We know, because he's been through so much adversity. It's locked in. The DanTicktum we see is the DanTicktum we get. It's not going to change just because he's going to start winning races. And what about that is consistent with DanTicktum is he always has to piss. So just asking the organizer, like, let's get you to your very first podium celebration. He's like, I need to piss. I got to go right now. So kind of unfazed by a win, obviously ecstatic, but kind of unfazed. And then also during the podium, they might have had to like throw this together super fast of the flags.
No one expected DanTicktum to win, so they did not have the presentation ready.
Yeah, so if for the listeners, we have this big, huge podium screen. We have Dan, we have Ito, we have Nico on the podium. They're playing the national anthem of the drivers, and the flags of these drivers is a little tiny corner on the screen. They couldn't scale these up to do the full screen.
Yeah,
and to add, go ahead.
Nope.
To add insult to injury, as it is customary, the winning team also gets their anthem played. Now, who would have thought that Kiro is an American team? I tend to forget that, and I definitely did when they started playing the good old Star Spangled Banner.
Time for the national anthem of our winning team, Kiro.
Honestly, if anyone is going to be shocked by this, like you could literally see it in his eyes. Alex Hui is like... He's like, where has my team gone? They were Neo 333 all but 2 years ago, and now they're an LA consulting firm on the podium.
Yeah, it's weird to me to hear the Star Spangled Banner in any context, but especially this one. But every time I hear this song for the
Yes.
the non-American viewers and listeners, every time I hear our national anthem, I think of this scene from The Hills Have Eyes.
God.
So, on top of being just a blasphemous son of a, I also am not a great patriot because just bastardizing our national anthem.
Yeah, you think a inbred, deformed guy in the hills is the best way to represent our country to all of our lovely listeners?
It's the wonderful American way. We're all going to look like this at some point.
Yeah, I was similarly blown away. I mean, we were watching this together, Dallas. Like I had seen many clips, but I had not seen the podium ceremony, and I certainly was excited to see it with you and to see the look of confusion on Dan's and Alex's face, and then subsequently that rippling effect to us of just being like, "Oh yeah, they're American." Like that's the last team in the world I would think is American, because I've only ever known them as like a Chinese EV startup race team, and DanTicktum as maybe the most British man I've ever experienced, aside from potentially J.K. Penny Hughes. It's just like baffling to me, and it just felt so wrong. And also just like the little tiny flag up in the corner of this whole experience was just like a riot to me. I don't know what else to say. I was overwhelmed. I was overcome with just the dystopian series we have followed.
And this is on brand. This is the quirk that you should expect by now from Formula E. And while these are really minor details, you might be asking yourself, like, why are we talking about little tiny flags and national anthems that are surprising? It's because these little things make up the entirety of Formula E and why we love it so much.
I mean, for fuck's sake, look at how dirty Nico Muller is. He looks like he just got out of a coal mine on the podium. Look at him, dude.
Yeah, they decided.
He just survived Normandy.
Yeah. It was a war zone out there. It really was. And
I don't know where the filth of his race suit starts and his skin begins. It's just one homogeneous, like, dirt. I don't know how it got under his helmet.
It's hell out there. Now, let's circle back to what we were talking about a little earlier of Ollie Rowland's driving habits on track, because he was not taking no for an answer. And this is just one clip. This is him with the Gunt. The Gunt himself gets shunted. The Gunt got shunt.
Yeah, there was a big Gunt shunt. And
Which tire? Box.
Honestly,
I'm not sure if suspension or puncture.
I can, as Oliver Rowland #1 fan, I can admit that was a pretty awesome move that he stuck on him. There was nothing wrong with that. It was a perfect move, and frankly, Gunter should have just broke into the wall.
Yeah, he should not have crossed this champion to be.
Frankly, he shouldn't have got on track. Completely unrealistic. Oliver's coming. No, not a great move. Not a shining moment move, right? But also, I do like that. Like, Oliver was kind of playing a little cheeky in the races. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm off the hook. I've decided for myself. Look, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do it. Later, especially the one with Pascal, where like they got into a couple of battles, Pascal and Rowland. Pascal, known for being quite the aggressive confrontation on circuit. There was, I think, 2 instances, and there was one where Pascal was making it in, and Oliver just shut the door right on him.
That's when Pascal had attack mode, right?
That's right. And Ollie just shut the door right on him, and like, bam, plah! And Pascal's like, oh, I can't believe this has happened to me. And Oliver's response is like, well, that's just a little silly.
Yeah, like a suave Matthew McConaughey, like, well, that's just a little silly.
That's just a little silly.
You thought
you thought you was good. Yeah, you thought you were going to get right past me. I don't think so.
I don't tell no.
You think I'm just going to lay down to some robot boy? Yeah, right.
Computer doesn't.
That's just silly.
That's what I love about computers. They get faster and faster, but I still can pull the power plug. All right.
Yeah. Verline was just like, it's like, I think on like the team radio, it's just like calling him out. Like that should be a drive-through penalty. But yeah, I mean, it just felt super petty. And honestly, the reality is like Oliver still got a point.
Right. Right.
With 2 penalties, even with 2 penalties, he still got that 1 single point, and Pascal was MIA from that top 10.
It was like he was taunting with that 1 point. Does he need that 1 point? Pretty much no. He doesn't even really need to be here, but he's like, oh, look what I got. Like, we talked about it before. Like, when has this really happened where we've had a single driver run away with a championship? Like, dude's just kind of out there, like, fulfilling contractual agreements to race in a race, and he's going to do whatever he wants to do.
Oh, well, now, Dallas. I mean, like, look, every gear in Formula E, you're going to have a front runner, and they're going to get pretty far out ahead. And then the rest of the team, the rest of the field is going to claw it back, and it's going to get real close, real stressful right up to the bitter end. I feel like the only year that was like someone was clearly in the title fight, like unchecked, was weirdly Stoffel. Stoffel's championship year, he was just cool, consistent, collected, but it still came down to the final race. Like, you know, the final 2 races could have changed everything. So
points in every race except 1. But I don't know. It just, maybe because it's happening before our very eyes right now, but it just seems like it's no contest. Yeah. Like, where are we at right now he's up, 69 points? Nice.
Oh no. I mean, this is the most consistent, I think, title charge that he's had, that there's been in the series for quite some time. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not gonna curse anything. I'm not gonna be like, he has it in the bag. It's all but his, because like, look at what happened last year with, you know, Cassidy and Evans, right? Like, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and they lost it, and they were truly destined to win. So I don't know. For all we know, DanTicktum could be walking home Formula E champion, for all I fucking know.
Do not put that out there. I will get a tattoo on my body, and I don't have tattoos.
Honestly, Dallas and Dan, I know you're listening. I know you listen to us every month. Every episode, you listen to it. And in fact, you probably grind your molars to dust at the concept that I have any opinion about you. But the reality is, if you are world championship, I will get your face tattooed on my nipple. Like, if you win this championship, I will get your arms spread wide.
Do it on your back. Do it on your back. No, do it on your back, like the full back print.
Honestly, I'm giving this as an opportunity to you, as a chance to get full payback, Dan. I'll get your arms spread wide open across my back.
What was it that he said after?
in that Kiro race suit.
What did he say after Monaco, where he let the haters get to him? He's like, you loser haters. Like, he's gonna feel some sort of way when he's like, one of these loser haters tattooed me on their body.
Dude, I'm committed. I owe the FIA basically probably $2.53 million after this season the least I can do as far as committing to anything I've promised this year is get a DanTicktum crucifix tattoo if he wins the championship.
Okay.
That's the least I could do.
If we haven't lost everyone by now, we definitely have. But, so let's push forward. Let's do something a lot cleaner. Let's talk about the diarrhea no finishes and who takes it home.
Oh yeah,
this week. So as we mentioned before, Nyck de Vries had a red car. Stoffel slammed into the wall with 20 Gs of divine smiting. Jake Hughes had brake failure, so both Maseratis are out, and then Maxi Gunt, as I mentioned earlier, second DNF in as many races. From what we just saw of Oliver Rowland, pretty much daddy grounded him and he wasn't allowed to race anymore. So of all of these, who is it that actually had a true diarrhea no finish?
Can we actually use Pascal maybe for some clarification on this? Like, what are the chances of yourself in a 20 G crash? Like, what percentage likelihood would a human being experience in a 20 G crash of shitting themselves?
How easy would it be for a driver to lose control of their bowels at such a violent rate of force? All right, let's see here.
Oh, there goes my dignity. So I think that for me, that's going to be my answer. Is the science of crap under pressure. It's compressing his entire torso. Neural shock. Why this happens? Neural shock. Let's figure it out. The adrenaline surge. Sheer force on organs. And it's a historical precedent, you know. Fighter pilots and astronauts have been known to lose bowel or bladder control under extreme G-force.
So,
You think our boy Lazarus Fries? Hold on a second. You think our boy Lazarus Fries would poop himself at 20 G's?
I have a headache.
All right. It's sealed stuff. Welcome to the party. I can't go on. Oh my god.
Okay. So, tears in my eyes. Moving on. This
Pascal is the meanest one of all of us. Pascal is the meanest circuit breaker.
Impact detected. 20 G human organs compressed. Hosts spiritually ruptured. Probability of involuntary defecation statistically significant. At this stage of the episode, my calculations indicate a 97.4% likelihood that the hosts will call on me, Pascal.exe, to field your comments and questions. Therefore, this is a preemptive protocol. Directive initiated. Please leave a comment addressed specifically to me, Pascal.exe. All responses will be processed and analyzed for metadata and meme value pursuant to Formula E tomfoolery and shared after the Berlin weekend. End of directive. Returning to passive observational mode. Awaiting your data.
Okay, let's regroup. Good news is that Jakarta is coming back next year. They're bringing this track back. We get more 20G storms like what we saw.
Oh. Hold on. So Jeff Dodds just confirmed that it's very likely. It's near confirmation that Jakarta will be back next year, which makes sense for like an Easter. So now we're down to like one gap in the calendar, realistically. So that's a good feeling.
I want to get this out of here so we can stop looking at it. Oh.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. Exciting to see.
Yeah.
Dallas, you want to jump into the next section?
Yes. We have some obligations to fulfill because we did not discuss it in our schedule prediction or schedule recap episode. But good amount of comments from the Shanghai episode and as well as that schedule prediction episode. So we just got to sound off. I mean, there's been some great stuff in the comments. So people that are commenting, keep doing what you do. And if you're a listener or a viewer and you don't leave a comment because we'll read it. And if there's even a shred of something worth mentioning, we're going to mention it. That's what we do. So starting off from the Shanghai episode, fellow Formula E creator, SB10FE, go check out his videos if you have not done so yet. Great exposés on all the happenings in Formula E. He says in the Shanghai episode, and this is related to Peloton and pit boost. All I got to say, Peloton plus pit boost window equals literally incomprehensible racing. I looked away for 20 seconds during the pitting window and was just completely lost trying to follow anyone. Fair. I would argue that is the fun of it. You don't know what's going on.
No, that's the biggest universal complaint is like truly as soon as those pit boost windows start, no clue what's happening because it's a 20-second basically black hole for a driver to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they're working on like ways that they can make it more comprehensible. But I also think that they're potentially just going to be scrapping it or like making attack mode less impressive or like, not sure. We'll comment further after I do more investigation on it. But I remember I've seen some links and some articles, and I don't want to misspeak as to what's going on with pit boost. But I believe it's either being pulled or it's being like reworked with lesser ability for pit boost races. Apparently, I don't know.
Well,
anyway,
TBD on that one. SB10. Then goes on to follow up of Rowland just having a lackluster weekend. He says, Shanghai race was genuinely the first time all year I've seen Rowland seem genuinely flustered. He's been so in control, and that was the first time he seemed to be on his back feet. Although I think this will be a blip, he'll be back in Jakarta on full form. And in a way, even though he only scored 1 point in Jakarta, he still was on full form of just owning a racetrack from the drivers around him.
Yeah. Following that, we have opinions on moving under braking. And I noticed a pretty significant landslide towards your favor of people being like, yo, this is kind of what makes Formula E exciting to watch. Yeah. And like, if you start policing it, it becomes unfun to watch. And then the funny thing is that the FIA clearly didn't read the comments on our videos, and they said, now everyone gets one defensive move or else we're going to give you a penalty. They listened to me and they actually went too soft on it. I was just like, man, just don't do it while you're coasting. But they're like, no, one defensive move or starting after Jakarta. So that's where it's going to go from here. A lot of the drivers are pretty roused up by it, apparently. So I don't know what it's going to look like. I think that they're just going to do a loose policing or be I don't know. It's going to be a mess. You guys were right. It's going to be a mess, and it's going to make some really boring and I'm going to eat my words, as I always do. But I understand the point that you're all really representing, like, especially like he mentions here in Formula One, like ahead at the apex, it's impossible to police that.
Yeah.
And it's just getting harder and harder as drivers are now exploiting that extra skill, like that extra understanding of like, this is a gray area kind of move. Right. So it's either got to be like a boring reality for what the race is going to look like, or you just have to kind of let it be the Wild West. That's where we're at currently, but they are going to get a lot faster up to that, 800 horsepower range. So I do think that at least having a couple races at the end of this season and some for next season to figure out what we can do to police some of these aggressive maneuvers is going to be important before we give people these like rampaging testosterone machines filled with like God's piss.
Dan's piss. Nice touch there.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then to follow up with that, same video, same debate from Lewis8552, who's a perennial commenter, always watching and adding to the discourse. He says, I think lifting under coasting is more of like a gentleman rule, gray area. It's a little dangerous, but it's funny that we have some drivers that don't care about that stuff and would rather cause chaos. 100% agree. And then with pit boost as a pack race is a plus. He does agree. It breaks up the monotony of these races, and the pit boost period sort of becomes the new go point and makes a strategy that much even more fun and important and interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I believe that like all of the drivers universally have like liked the additional strategy that the pit boost has added.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a universal consensus. Like there was a driver's debrief, right? Or a driver's a panel where at Jakarta where they were talking about it, and like Oliver Rowland, Nyck de Vries, they were all like, yeah, no, the pit boost adds like a really cool dynamic and strategy to the race. Just no one knows what's going on.
Yeah,
like the number one complaint is televised. Nobody knows what's going on. They can't know what's going on. They can't be excited because they have no clue. Your car goes into a black hole and then it's gone for 30 seconds, if not 40, getting in and out of that pit. So I don't know.
But I just watched the Austrian Grand Prix, and I looked over at the screen and Liam Lawson was P4. Now, obviously it was a runaway with the McLarens, but that does also kind of happen in Formula One when drivers come into pit and the order kind of gets rearranged. The only reason contextually that that a certain driver shouldn't be that high up the grid is just because that that's not where they typically are or near where they started. So instead of like a black hole with Formula One, it's kind of like a gray hole if you're casually watching. So yeah, it is a little bit more extreme with Formula E, but it all evens itself out.
It's the fact that in Formula One, a pit stop, like the actual action of the pit stop is like 2 seconds.
Right.
So the longest portion of it is driving to your pit and driving out of the pit and trying to beat the driver ahead or behind you, now attacking you. With Formula E, it's 30 seconds. It's like the worst case scenario for a tire change. It's like an entire quarter of a lap.
Mm-hmm.
Half of a lap, right? So half a lap's distance between you and the car that you're trying to run away from is a significant amount to be off like axis, right? Like off, like staggered, which is the reason why it's so confusing. It's because it's such a great like jump in discrepancy between driver ahead and driver behind, pit boost, whatever's going on. So I get it. I don't know. I think it's I am glued to the screen no matter what it is. I'm just happy to see race cars going sometimes. So I understand the complaints of the charging symbols not being like, I think, exciting enough maybe while that's happening. But there's also the issue of like, you can't just cut and watch one driver for 30 seconds in that pit. With Formula One, you can watch a car come down the pit, hit the pit stop, and start leaving the pit lane. But you can't do that with this because you're going to watch a car for 50 seconds.
You could, though, and I would argue you should, just knowing how much power is running through that cable and that it could go south very quick. Now that does, like, it's not a casual viewing thing, but like if you sit there and take in like the reality of how many electrons are being pushed through a small Midwest US town is being powered in 30 seconds for the amount of energy they use in a full day. Like that's kind of fun to me. And I know I'm being like this like Formula E, like poster boy of just shilling out whatever they're doing. 'Cause I feel like that's kind of where I land on a lot of these things. But when you like read between the lines of what's going on, I don't, to me, that's exciting. But of course, like if the majority of the fan base is like, I don't know what the is happening, just make this easier to understand and or quicker on a charge. I don't know.
I think Pit Boost is great for the Peloton races. Like hands down, I will enjoy Peloton races more if they do those pit boosts. I think they're significantly more exciting and more strategic and like more thoughtful for that type of circuit and that type of race when that pit boost is active on those races. But I also think that the charging little icon thing needs to be more exciting, and they need to do multicam. You know, like multicam watching
picture in a picture sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like more production based to support what's happening with that, so that we can get a split view of Oliver Rowland charging as Max Gunter is coming around the next couple turns.
Yeah,
to see where that convergence point might be. Yeah. Right. That's where you're going to have to do it. Right. And that's what they do at Formula One.
Yeah.
Right. That's what they do for F1 TV.
But we're only what?
Okay. Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say we're only what, 3-4 races of pit boost in. It's kind of like a live beta test. Like it's not all flushed out. They're still figuring it out. So improvements to be made. But moving forward to the scheduled prediction episode, some additional comments. The Nyck 94 back again, kind of giving their breakdown on tire compounds, what Gen 4 is going to entail, and how much of a insane spec that car is. And then we did ask, because we gave our 3 different tracks where we would like to see Formula E race. Of course, everyone's going to go hometown. Nikki is in Italy, so would love probably the Misano race again or something closer to them that they could attend. But also give props to you with your Croatia pick, and then your Seattle tracks that you built out. Oh, man.
I was stuck in traffic on 99 through Alaska Way, and I just saw those big-ass ships. I was pointing to my girlfriend. I was like, look at, I made a track that like circles this whole thing. It's perfect, Dallas. It's a perfect space for it. Honestly, like I looked at it top to bottom. I was like, there's a lot of validity in this space. It is just ripe for racing, frankly.
Well,
ripe for racing. So thank you, Nikki. But I also agree that Croatia is the one that makes the most sense. It looks. But also, I would love for them to go back to Italy as well.
Yeah. There also was this fun fact. They said, when I was in Monaco for the ePrix, I met Jeff, assuming Jeff Dodd, CEO. Me and other peeps annoyed him so much to extend the race distance of at least one of the races of a double header. So there is hope. So basically what we're gathering from this, Nikki, is if we just harass Jeff Dodds and other, decision makers in Formula E, if we just harass them, because that's always a good strategy, we can get what we want. We can see what we want to see in this race. Maybe we go on the line of really pushing for these driver themed, cartoonish caricature versions of the tracks. And maybe we'll get those versions of the tracks in the existing infrastructure. It's a good insight.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I feel like it's easier to build a track in a haunted mansion than to try to race in one of these metropolitan cities.
So we just need to state our case constantly and annoyingly, and we'll get it to happen.
And look, they're already basically racing on mud pits. And like, look at between Miami and Jakarta now. It's like, what's a track surface? You guys got all-wheel drive?
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So good fact and good insight. We'll start harassing, getting what we want. And then another comment from Lewis 8552, another one wanting a hometown race. Edinburgh, Scotland, would be his pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do like God, what is it? I don't know why. I thought like Isle of Man circuit for motorcycles, but that's not Scotland. I just remember it being in somewhere in the center of like Scotland, Ireland. Well, but that also could never happen for Formula E. Like there would be death.
He says, have a track in Princess Street. It'd be right next to the castle, and would be an incredible location / backdrop for a race. And then goes on to say,
Hell yeah.
you could use the Forza Horizon or Project Gotham Racing 2 to get inspiration for the circuit layouts for that one. So yeah, that would be sick.
Oh, hell yeah. Yes. Honestly, we need more castle-based racetracks for oh god, who would which driver? Honestly,
it'd be
probably Robin Fries and Buemi.
For the cat, yeah, it would just be Envisions.
They're the Wario, they're the Wario Waluigi scenario, right? The Dark Castle kind of scenario for them. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah,
and then,
Lord Buemi's castle.
Yeah. Then he also says another dream track would be Macau, which I think we talked about that in the schedule preview. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Macau.
Could easily make that track FE's big event that every motorsport enthusiast has to watch, given its history, and also would be incredible in the Gen 4 machinery. And a follow-up to some of that Gen 4, apparently the Count himself is saying that the estimated lap times in the Gen 4 is going to be around minute 15 to a minute 18 in Monaco, which is basically a 2014 F1, which is basically absolutely insane. And I'm still as terrified as I was when we talked about it in that episode.
Yeah. But the thing that we also need to remember is like that performance is all low end. So like that's like ripping up to speed and like snaps of seconds, and maybe not like peaking out like as fast as F1 cars are, but you are launching around every corner, and you're going to have that all-time four-wheel drive. So you're digging out of like corners at an astonishing rate and speed.
Yep.
So like the handling is going to be the thing that's different. Basically, you're going to go into braking zones slow and then launch yourself out of them, which is very different than F1, where you're trying to carry that momentum through your apex. It's going to be a very interesting setup. Actually, I think it might be really sick at Macau, frankly, because it's such tight like circuit lines and everything. I think that'd be so sick.
Yeah, I think what they need to flush out too with the Gen 4 is how many G's is the body experiencing on those launches each time. Because if we're getting 20 G's each corner, they're going to have to get like space grade diapers, because it's just going to be a part of racing these cars.
And there that purity goes. It all started with Danny.
And then finally, like I said, if you leave a comment, we're gonna read it. We're gonna share it. Beyblade Smash again coming in. Nice podcast. Love it. So hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. I don't have anything else aside from, check us out on YouTube if you're a listener at Circuit Breakers Pod. Shout out to It's Tricky. You can check him out on SoundCloud. He made our intro and outro music. Taylor, you have anything else?
No, God, no. I honestly just want to go back to rehearsing with Pascal.exe. Like, I want to keep asking him questions because he is maybe the funniest circuit breaker now.
Yeah, maybe
he made his debut. I was very critical of Pascal. I said he has no personality whatsoever, and apparently he's the funniest circuit breaker. So don't worry, we don't use him to write episodes. We just refer to him as our physics specialist. Yeah, and actually, like there's I will back Taylor up on that. Like we write our episodes. Like the only time that we consult Pascal.exe is to do calculations. But let's try this. Yeah, because we're so stupid. let's try this though. Whatever comments that you're going to leave on this video pertaining to what we talked about in this episode, maybe, please seek Christ, may God forgive you of your sins, things like that. But on top of that, let us know in the comments what you would like Pascal.exe to think and compute, and we will go over that after Tempelhof Berlin race and see what you guys can cook up as far as an AI handling this weird corner of the internet. I think we're just gonna have to like bite the bullet and have like a digitally rendered Pascal robot computer say Like, give it the dialogues that it's typed for us and add it as a third host.
Let's talk about that after we wrap, because that is a possibility.
Good God.
Good God. Good Dan. Thanks for watching and listening, everyone. Taylor, I'll see you after Berlin.
Goodbye, everyone.
See
and we'll see what's next.